Welcome everyone to the Indian Express newspaper of 14th October 2022. I will explain this newspaper in three steps. First is why is the news? Second is what is the news? And third is what can we expect in the future about the topic that is given in the news. So today's newspaper is very short. Very short information is given here, and we will not read any irrelevant news because time is everything. You have to finish your newspaper in the smallest time possible. So let's get started with our first news, which is SC split on hijab. So first of all, why is this news? Because there was a judgment from Karnataka High Court. Then the matter of this hijab controversy was handed over to the Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court have had its judgment, and the judgment is a split. One judge is saying something and other judge is talking about something else. So Supreme Court is split on hijab against secularism versus matter of choice. Trust of minority in majority. So what is exactly the judgment? Justice Hemant Gupta has validated the ban. He is calling that the Karnataka High Court order was correct and talking about why, because he said that it was only to promote uniformity, which means everyone looks the same in their own uniform of the school, and encourage a secular environment. On the other hand, the other justice Sudhanshu Dhulia have opposed the ban, and he have called out that right to wear the hijab in a classroom is a matter of choice. It depends on the choice of the girls that are in fact part of this whole controversy. So it depends on the matter. It's a fundamental right linked to the girl's dignity and her privacy even when she is inside the school gate. So whole matter is surrounding this wear of hijab, and he is calling that it is up to girls to decide whether they will wear it or not, even inside the school gates. Now what is the future? What can we expect? So we do not have to expect because already matter is given, have in fact a split verdict, which means the matter will now be placed before the Chief Justice of India. So we will see this in coming days how the matter goes on. Coming to our next page, this is city page, more of city page. Then comes government and politics page. Here most of the news is based on politics. You can see the headlines. Most of these are political news. Then again, in the Express Network page today, there is no such news which is an importance to national interest. Then comes another page that India has abstained on resolution condemning Russia's illegal referenda annexation. So why is this news? Because the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution. And what was the resolution? Resolution was that Russia has illegally invaded 4 parts of Ukraine. So every country has to vote it, that it condemns Russia's illegal annexation or not. So what was the India's take? India has abstained from voting, which means it has neither voted for it not against it. And what was the reason? So India has decided to abstain with a firm resolve. So India has since the start called out for peaceful solution. And how this peaceful solution can be achieved? Through dialogue and diplomacy. So that is why India feels that condemnation will not simply work. A solution based on dialogue and diplomacy will work. So only that thing was important. India has taken neutral position since the start, and in the future also it is expected that India will be neutral in all its decision. coming in. Now coming to this page, also there is some news about what was the reaction of other people on Supreme Court verdict, so it is not important. We have to see what exactly was the decision and how it will influence the Indian society. This is more important. Coming to word page, one news is important. China and US are now mocking each other. And what is their take? So the headline is Cold War thinking, great power tussle not constructive. China warns US. So China is calling out that US has a Cold War thinking and this will not help US and in fact not help even any other country. So Chinese government on Thursday accused Washington of Cold War thinking. And what they have called out, what the US has, in fact, what was the statement that led India to call out that US is having a Cold War thinking. So this statement is Biden's document Wednesday accused China of trying to erode US alliances, which means China is trying to disbalance US and its other alliance relation, which means US has a lot of alliances in Asia, Africa, every other continent has its alliances. It has accused China that it is trying to disbalance these alliances, and also it has accused that China is trying to create more permissive condition for its own authoritarian model. And why exactly this has called for authoritarian model and what this means? It means that China is trying to make conditions suitable. It is trying to make environmental conditions such that it can make its authoritarian model successful. So what is authoritarian model? Because China is not a democratic country. China is led by Communist Party of China. It is not a democratic country. So US is out of fear that it can impose its own ideology in the world. So what US thought of as a solution? It called for out-competing China, which means to win the race against China in every aspect, in political alliances, in global governance, in business, in technology, military affairs. It wants to win the race against China. So this has its China's reaction, and China has reacted in following way. What it has called out that US is having a Cold War thinking, zero sum games, sensationalizing geopolitical conflict. It is talking out that US is creating drama. It is over sensationalizing these conflict, and also called out that great power competition are unpopular and unconstructive, which means do not compete with China. It will not help US. This is by China. So what can we expect? Also, there's one thing that I will tell you what can we expect in the future. China has called out that weaponization of economic and trade issues is being done by US. So US trying to make these issues, trade, economy, its own weapon. And why exactly? Because China is trying to create its own supply chain. You know, US is trying to make its own supply chain. And you know exactly that China is the biggest player in the supply chain system. Without it, supply chain can be derailed, it can be disbalanced. So that is why China is saying that US is trying to weaponize these economic and trade issues. Now what can we expect in the future? Anti-globalization, because we have seen a lot of globalization hype in this century, in fact. But now anti-globalization can be seen. Nationalist issues will be taken up first by both US and China, because both are developing their own technology, their own systems, their own military. So that is why we can expect anti-globalization in the coming year. Now coming to our next page is the economy page, and here one news is important. Intensive negotiation on for trade pact with India UK. So first of all, why is this news? Because India and UK decided that they will have a free trade agreement till Diwali 2022. But there were two issues, or you can call two hidden conflicts that came. First was data localization, and second was allowing bidding to UK companies. So data localization, what is the India's and UK's take? So India wants that no data of Indian citizens can be taken out of our Indian territory, and UK does not want that. UK wants Indian citizens data out of India. So this is data localization. This is one issue. Second is India do not want UK firms, UK companies to have a bid in India's public sector. But Britain wants India to allow UK firms, UK companies to have a bidding in the public sector of India. These are the two issues. So there are intensive negotiations that are going on to meet the target. And target is to have conclude the majority of India UK free trade agreement by Diwali 2022. Now what is the UK's take now? So they have called out for a statement that we remain clear that we won't sacrifice quality for speed. So there is a pressure that they have to complete it till Diwali 2022. But they are saying that we will not compromise on quality. Whether this free trade agreement is before Diwali or after Diwali, they will not compromise for quality, which means they are looking out for both conflicts. They want to win it. They want data localization to be broken by India, which means they want data. And second is they want UK companies to bid, and they will only sign when we have a deal that meets both countries' interest. So what can we expect in the future? So Diwali is a no for this trade agreement to be signed, because a lot of things are clear. They are calling out for quality against speed. So we can expect a free trade agreement. Even in fact, this can be cancelled also. So only thing we can wait for is the next news when it comes, that free trade agreement has been signed or not. So this lets an end to the newspaper. Now you can read this newspaper by yourself as well.